Hi everyone, welcome back. This is the third video, the second update of this series where I'm talking about my new project Launchbase. I'm going to walk you through, my development, process, what I'm working on. As I proceed on this journey, I'm trying to show you these daily updates. And if anyone's interested, I would like to hear from you and get your feedback so that when I actually launch, I'll be ready, and I want to be as transparent as possible with this project. So as I said earlier, I'm going to give you my daily update. There was a bit of a gap from the previous videos. I had I had a lot of personal work, so I wasn't able to keep up with the schedule. But anyways, I've gotten to the work, and even though it's a minor update, I finally got to it. So I'm just going to walk you through the demo of the latest changes, and then for anyone interested, around halfway through the video, I'm going to switch to the code so that you can check it out, and I'll walk you through step by step what I've done, so that if you're interested in contributing, you can do that too. So this page, as you can see, nothing much has changed. In fact, I didn't do any changes. It's what you saw in the last video. All my changes were in this page. So I created this, page from the beginning. So basically, it follows the same template or structure from all the other pages. And then I just created this part over here. And right at the top, you can see create a new idea. You have a small description or help text. You can give your idea a name. It can literally be anything, just a short catchy name so that people actually have something to relate with, or a brand maybe. So you give something over here, and then a short description. This is the description that's going to show up in this tab. So you would have seen over here this small dummy text, or smaller version of the text over here. That's the description that's going to show up. So it has to be short. So I do have a character count over here. So it checks how many characters or words you type, and it restricts you, so that you don't exceed that, and it doesn't get cut short afterwards. Then you have a larger description. So this is a expandable text area, where you can give much more information, talk about your idea in detail, so that you actually tell your users what your plan is, what your idea is, and how you're going to execute it, so that you give them much more context. And the only thing that we actually require is the idea. So if I try to save the draft, it's not going to work, because that is the core requirement. You need an idea to get started. So as long as you have the idea, you can save the draft and proceed. Description and the actual idea, not really required, but if you want to, you can. And then additionally, I give a provision for you to add links. So you might not be able to mention all of your content in this one text area, this one text box. So if you want to add a link to a YouTube video where you given a visual explanation of your idea, or maybe a link to a Google Drive folder where you have other documents that explain your idea in more detail, you can add multiple links over here, or as always, you can just delete them. And then you can also invite your team members. So currently I give you an option to invite up to 20 team members at a time, but obviously you can have how many ever members you want. The logic was just, I don't want people to spam the service and add like 100, 500 members, because when all you have is an idea, it's practically impossible for you to work on this one idea with thousands of people. So I just have a small limit to 20 people at and just for the initial draft. But you can always add people afterwards. So we have some basic validation over here. This has to be filled, and if you do add a team member, you obviously need to fill this up. So it needs to be a valid email ID, and you can see that default HTML validation, it passes over here, even though this is not a valid email address. But then in the backend, when I check with my API, this throws an error. So I show this neat error message so that I can actually fix it. So I'm going to give my own email address, and then I'm going to hit save draft. And then once this goes through processes, I'm going to be redirected to this page. So obviously I've not created this page, so I have this 404 error, but I am going to create this for the next update. So hopefully by tomorrow this page will be ready. So this page, basically slash drafts, right? That's going to be what you get when you click on this tab. So when you go to this tab, it's going to basically be a list of all your drafts, and then you can click on one of your drafts to go into that detailed page. So it'll give you all the information that you typed over here, an option to edit them, maybe an option to add more links, edit your links, add more team members, and then when the right time comes, you can publish that draft. So now that draft is no longer residing over here, it resides over here and becomes public so everyone can see it. So that's the plan for now, and this is what I've worked on. What I'm going to do is switch over to the code right now so that anyone interested in the actual code, they can start working on it if they're interested. So I'm just going to quickly switch over to Visual Studio Code. So this is a code base. You can also go and check up the GitHub repository. I just recently made the commit and push like a couple of minutes ago. So most of my changes, I made changes in a couple of files. Maybe I can show you exactly what those changes were, but most of it were just in in the public side, the static files. So this was the latest comment. You can see that I've added two new files, the HTML file and the JavaScript file. In the public folder, I made a change to the schema. I think that was a minor change, just an edit. Right, so I added a max length for the URL. So I'm trying to limit the amount of data they can send in the API for every request. So based on my research, 2048 characters, the maximum allowed length for any URL for most modern browsers. So I've capped that length. And then I think that's the only change here. And yeah, one slight change here. Yeah, so even for the update idea. So those two changes for the schema, and then obviously I need to add a new route so that I can serve that static file. This was in pages.js, and then I might have made a small change over here. This is not related to what I showed you in the demo, but was a minor bug fix or at least a small update to make it more secure. At least, so what I've done is you can see these couple of lines. I'm checking if the idea actually, I'm sorry, I'm checking if the idea is complete. So this route is to publish an idea. So if you have a draft, you want to take the draft and you want to publish it. So right now, if you want to save a draft or update a draft, all I'm requiring you to do is have a name. As long as you have just a name, you're good. But if you want to publish an idea, obviously you need more information. You need to give your users a description. You need to give them the actual idea content. So we check if these three pieces of information are there. Only if they are there, we allow you, or else we throw an error saying the idea is incomplete. So those are the few bug fixes or updates that I made to the backend. And at the front end, I'll show you the changes I made. So obviously, brand new file. I think it's a bad idea opening it like this. I'm going to go directly over here into assets, just an idea, new idea. Most of the structure, outer stuff is the same. I'm sorry, this is the JavaScript file. And if I go into templates, yeah, this is the HTML file. Most of it's the same. I have a basic form and you can see the ID, it's his profile form. I have to change this. I just use it for convenience. This was the same ID, the same styling that I used for the profile page. So I just thought I'll copy it over, and I have all these inputs, the descriptions. I don't have labels. I just have this. I just use the description class to easily style it. And then I'll show you the logic of how I programmatically or dynamically add new links. I'm sorry, add new inputs so that you can add links, and how by clicking on this delete button, it deletes the corresponding link or the corresponding input. So the same mechanism is there for the email input, but the only difference is for the email input I check how much emails you're going to add. As I said, I'm capping it at 20. So the moment you have 20 inputs, this button to add a new email address, that gets hidden. So until you delete one of the inputs, this button is going to be hidden. The moment you delete one of them, this gets shown again. So that's the gist of it. And then I have this p element to show the error. So by default this is hidden. I have this hide class which hides everything, removes it from the DOM, and when I want to show it again, I just remove this hide class from the element. So pretty simple and straightforward. I'll walk you through the code over here. Most of it's going to be the same. So especially the stuff you see in the top, you get your token. If the token is not there, you log out the user, redirect them to the login page, and this is to get the email hash and to show your profile picture. This is just all my query selectors to get all the elements. And I think the very first thing at the top is this link button. So this link button is basically the add new link, that button. So every time you click on it, it's going to do all this stuff. So some DOM manipulation, it's going to create these different elements, append all of them, and basically create a new input, the box where you can type the link, and a button so that you can delete the input if you want to. So that is for the link. Similarly, I have exact same logic for the email. I just have this tiny thing at the top, this extra logic over here to check if we are nearing 20. So if the email list already has 19 inputs, we're going to hide the button so that you can't add any more. And that's it. And yeah, we have this tiny logic over here again. So anytime they click on the so this is an event listener for the delete button. We have that over there also. And every time we click on the delete button, well, what we're doing is calling this delete function. So I'm going to show you the actual delete function over here, but basically we're doing another check over here so that we check if the length is 20. If the length is 20, I'm going to remove the height, we're going to remove the height class of that email button, so the email button is going to show again. So that's the small logic I had over here. What I'm going to do is scroll down to the delete input function over here. So this is the actual logic. How do we delete it? How do we remove them from the DOM again? So what I do is first I get e.target. So that is, so I have a click listener for all the delete buttons. So when I click on them, I get that target element. So I find that particular element that I clicked on, and then I go and find the parent element. So that's the div that wraps that input and the delete button, and then I just call dot remove, that removes it from the DOM. So pretty straightforward. Then I just have this object of all the error messages. So basically, based on what error code I get, I have a very easy way to just output, okay, this is the message that I actually want to show the user, something that's very descriptive and something that makes sense to them. If I just say invalid emails, they probably won't understand what I'm saying, but if I give a more longer explanation of why the error occurred, it might give them some better context, make it more intuitive. And then this is the event lister for the actual submit, form submit. So a small animation to make that that emoji spin, and then we're going to get all the links, get all the email addresses, and then we're going to actually make the request. So we're going to convert all the data that we have into a JSON object, and then what we're going to do is disable the animations again, so everything goes back to normal. We're going to check if there is an error. If there is an error, we're going to show that error message. So we're going to remove the height class, make it visible, and then we're going to do a couple of things. So if this error code that we receive is there in our object before, our error messages object that I showed you before, I'm just going to change the text content of that message that we're displaying to the corresponding value which we have in that object. Pretty straightforward, right? I don't need to go and manually type out everything. I can just use the thing from that object. If it is not present in that object, that means it's some error that we are not able to handle, something else. Maybe it's a server error, something on our side, 500 message. So then I'm just going to display this generic error, something went wrong, please try again. But if it is explicitly unauthorized, this code, then that means the user does not have the permissions. They probably are not logged in the first place. So I'm going to call this logout function, which is there all the way at the bottom. This logout function is there in every JavaScript file, every page, something straightforward. And if we don't have any errors, what I'm going to do is, basically that means everything went successfully. So I'm going to redirect them to this page where they're going to show, where we're going to show all the drafts that they have, also this new draft that they just created. And if they want to go in and see more details, edit the draft, they can always click on that draft and go to that corresponding page. So that's all. I mean, all of this were taken from the previous JavaScript files. They're common for all the pages. I think this wraps up the video. Nothing much for me to say. I wanted to keep this as short as possible. Hope you guys stay tuned for the next video. Again, I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep up with the schedule, but hopefully, as we go along, the schedule will maintain and I'll be able to create a video every day. And as always, I'm going to say this once again, thank you for watching, but I would really appreciate you guys giving comments, giving suggestions, or if you have ideas that you want to convey. I'm willing to hear all of them because this is a project that I'm really interested in and I want to, persist and get it ready out, to production, get it in the real world so that people can actually start using it. So any feedback at all will be really appreciated, either in YouTube comments or through an email, social media, whatever works for you. I'll be eagerly waiting for them. So again, thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one.